Hey everyone, my name is Mike, and in this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to build a beautiful professional Shopify store and become successful with e-commerce. So if you're selling a digital product, if you're selling a physical product, if you're dropshipping, doing branded dropshipping, whatever it might be, if you're selling anything on the internet, Shopify is a very popular platform that many people have been using for many years now, and a lot of people have found major success with. And with good reason, because it's a very easy platform to use, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use it. So if you're looking to build a Shopify store and you're an absolute beginner, this is the video for you. I'll show you everything you need to know, like I said, and we're going to do this step by step as we build an e-commerce site together, an example site. We're going to be selling coffee in this video. So this is a full tutorial. And I know there are some other videos that are great videos, but sometimes people sell online courses. And so you might be cautious right now, wondering like, all right, Mike, are you going to like omit some information and upsell me? No, we don't do any of that. At Santrel Media, we believe in free information, so you can be confident that everything I show you in this video is the full everything we think you need to know to actually get started with an e-commerce business. Like I said, we don't sell a course and we never will. So I guarantee if you watch this entire video and fully understand everything I say, then by the end of this video, you'll be able to make a beautiful professional website without any coding understanding and without any college degree or anything like that. Now, with that being said, please feel free to take out a pencil and paper and start taking notes. We're going to cover a lot in this video. And of course, I do tend to talk a little fast. So if you guys want to either speed up the video or slow down the video, please feel free to use the YouTube speed controls. Now, with that being said, let's head over to my laptop. The first thing we want to do is actually click on the link in the top of the description, or you can copy and paste it into a new tab, or you can just type in santrelmedia.com/Shopify. That makes sure we're all starting out on the same page. And this might look a little different depending on when you're visiting it, but the important thing is that you have a little field that says enter your email address, and then we're just going to click start free trial. Now, the next thing it's going to ask us is make a password. I'm just going to make a password right there and choose a little domain for this to name your store. So I'm just going to call it Santrel Coffee, and it looks like that is available. And by default, it's going to give us santrelcoffee.myshopify.com. Of course, once we upgrade, like this is just a free trial. Once we upgrade, you'll have the normal domain like santrelcoffee.com or whatever domain you want. So we're going to click on create your store. Now, it's going to take a couple minutes here. And another thing to note is, like I said, this is starting us off with a free trial, which is great, a great way to build your website for free. But eventually, if you want to get any sales during the 14 days, or if you just plan on having it longer than 14 days, which I assume everybody does, you will have to upgrade. We'll talk about what the plans mean and how you can really navigate that. Okay, so now it wants to know a little bit of information about us. Honestly, this doesn't really make a huge difference. It'll add some different information on your home screen to help guide you through things, but hopefully this tutorial answers your questions anyway. So I'm just going to say skip this. They don't really need to know that. And now we need to add an address so that we can get paid. Make sure you're using obviously a real address. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, and that'll bring us to our home page. Now, of course, the home page is going to look a little bit different for everybody, depending on how you filled out that first little questionnaire, like the one that I skipped, and also depending on when you're looking at this. Like if you look at this in a month after building your store, you're not going to see the same little how to set up a shipping thing on the very top. And again, you're not going to see this thing. Like things are going to change for you. So that's why I don't want to cover the home page too much, but really in this video, we'll be spending a ton of time going through each of the items on the left side, all major categories, and they really have a big impact on how your store actually looks. But the first thing and the most important thing is going to be adding some products. So you can either do that right here on, of course, they show you on the homepage a little kind of 5-step checklist there, or you can go over to products and click add product there. But I'm going to start off on home. I'm going to go to add a product, and the first product we want to add, I'm just going to show you maybe how to do a physical product. Being that this is Santrel Coffee, maybe we sell a bag of coffee beans, and so this is going to be dark roasted coffee, and maybe this is like a 1 pound bag, 1 pound, I don't know. And so then we have a description for this, and the description, of course, you want to flesh this out, give it like a nice paragraph to explain what the people are going to be buying, talk about where it comes from, like whatever you think your customers want to know about that, give it a nice description right here. And of course, you'll see exactly how this looks in the theme in just a little bit later in this video. So I'm going to say this is a... And of course, once you add this, feel free to add links in here or bold things or add italics, however you want this. So if I want to have maybe these down here, I want them to be bold, I can do that. or maybe if I want to link to another page, which of course we don't have any pages yet, but keep in mind, if you want to say like all organic, you can insert a link, and this can link to another page on your website. This could be anything like that. So feel free to add more than just text right here. Like you can really add another layer there. And of course, as we develop this website further on down the road, we can start to really add more functionality here, like, with links and things like that. Now, next we have some media. Now, the media here could be obviously any photos of the product. And because this is a physical product, I'm just going to choose like a, stock photo of coffee beans, for example. And of course, you want to add some more photos as well if you have them. So for clothing, you might want to show some different models and poses, different angles of the clothing, maybe a sizing chart, things like that. Adding media, the more you have, the better it is, unless you have more than like 10. But still, having more media is always going to be better for consumers to better understand what it is they might be buying. So I'm just going to add 2 photos on this one. Again, this is just an example store for coffee beans, and so maybe that's what it is right there. Of course, if you're drop shipping, I would recommend, if you don't have a sample unit, maybe try to get a sample unit from the supplier, and if you can't do that, definitely have the supplier send you some new photos so you can have some really nice photos to put in here that are either branded drop shipping and show your brand on it, or otherwise are just whatever the product actually is. So you're not just using like too much of a stock photo, like you want it to be at least somewhat authentic and look like a real photo. So then we have our pricing, and we have 3 fields here. Each one is going to be very different. The first one is actually what you're selling it for. So if we're selling this for like $15, 15 US dollars, then that's going to be, how much a customer would pay to buy it. The second thing is the compare at price, which would be either showing what it might sell for from a different supplier, or it could be if you have a sale. Essentially, it's going to show a number next to the price, and this number here is going to be crossed out. So I could say compare at like $25. Some people like to do this so that people on your site might be like, oh, it's on sale. It's $15 instead of $25. That's a good buy. That's the psychology behind it. And then we have cost per item. This is also pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be how much it actually costs you to buy it, and it's going to help you calculate your margin and your profit. So if I'm selling for $15, hopefully I'm not buying this for any more than like $4. And below that, we have the option to charge or not charge tax on this. And of course, this depends on your local laws. Look into your local laws. If you're selling like groceries or clothing, like things might be different. So to keep it simple, I'm going to not charge tax on this product. We're going to pretend I'm in an area that doesn't charge tax on coffee beans. And so that's how I'm going to go with this. Next, we have a stock keeping unit and a barcode. So if you are, doing a resale, or if you're a retailer, then maybe you might have some barcodes. If you have a larger library of products, again, you might have barcodes for them. Because I only have maybe a couple products selling on this website, I'm not going to have a barcode, but I will have a SKU. So I'm going to call this 10,001 as my SKU. And so we want to track quantities here. And this is really going to help me understand when people are buying it and when my inventory is low enough that I have to place another order. Of course, if you're drop shipping, if you're doing digital products, like these are all going to be a little bit different and it won't matter nearly as much. But assuming you have inventory, a stock keeping unit is going to help you a lot. Then we have how many available. So let's just say I have 500 available right now, and we don't want to continue selling when it's out of stock because maybe I have a long lead time and I don't want to have angry customers waiting too long. Then we have shipping. So this is a physical product. If it was not a physical product, you would just deselect that and you don't have to worry about shipping. But of course, with this, I'm going to say that, that we're selling like a 2-pound bag. So 2-pound bag. Actually, I should add that in the title. Oh, I said 1 pound. Let's make that 2 pounds. Give people a little bit more for the money. So a 2-pound bag, and we can select where it's going to be. So where it's from, being that this is international shipping, you want to make sure that you're following the right regulations with customs. And then we have other options. Now, being that this is just a bag of coffee grinds, or coffee beans, we don't actually need to have different options. But if it's clothing, you can choose what it's going to be. It could be size, it could be color, it could be fit, it could be anything like that. And you're going to have essentially right here. So if we wanted to say like size, just for example on this one, we could say maybe like 1 pound. We could have 2 pounds. And whenever you go to the next one, it'll allow you to, like once I fill this in, it gives me another value below that. So I'm going to delete these. Actually, I'm just going to deselect that and say we don't have any other options. And then down here, it shows me what it's going to look like essentially in the search engine listing. So if somebody Googles this and they see in a search results, this is what it's going to look like. So right here, it says dark roasted coffee beans, and that's the title of the product. And then below that, that is the description we added up there. Something that is really convenient with how Shopify works is that you can actually change this. So if you want want the description to say something different than what you're seeing on your metadata right here, you can actually edit the website SEO and change what the title is, as well as what the description is on how it's going to specifically show up in Google search. Now, I'm happy enough with this right here, but the only thing I would like to change is the URL handle down here. So we didn't change our domain yet. We'll talk about that in just a minute, because obviously you don't want to be santrelcoffee-2.myshopify.com. Like that's not a good one. So, but anyway, once we change that, really what we have to worry about right now is what the little ending thing is. It's called a URL slug. So if we want our slug to instead be something a little bit cleaner, we could say 2-pound Kona coffee. And we're going to say save. And so that's going to be how it'll actually show up. When people see that, it's not only going to be better for Google's indexing of it, but of course, when people are navigating through your website, it just feels a little more natural. It's easy to share, and like it's better to have a clean link like that. Now, we're not done with this. Even though I went to the bottom and we did everything in the main column here, we can see on the right side, we have our product status, we've got insights, we've got organization, a lot of things over there as well. So starting off with the product status, this is just a draft. We could make it an active product, and now that I have some pictures up here, maybe I want to make it an active product. We can go down here and change the sales channels and apps. We don't need to worry about that yet, but essentially sales channels would be anything like if you're selling on eBay, or if you're selling on Google, on Facebook, on Pinterest, like natively on those, or really through their sales channels, then you would want to set that up. But for now, we're just selling directly through my online store, which is the only sales channel I have configured so far. Then we have down here, so right there, it says, right, online store, that's the only one we have that's selected, right? And we can schedule the availability as well. So if you have like a limited merch drop for maybe you're a creator, then you could schedule the availability for that and have it start at midnight and only last maybe an hour, or you could have a limited inventory, whatever it might be. That's a good way to do that. And then of course we have insights that will display once we start to get more sales. The organization of this, we can say the vendor is Santrel Coffee. You can add some basic stuff like that. The product type, I'm going to say coffee, really, just so I can keep it a little more organized. So coffee is going to be obviously most of what we're selling on here. So maybe you want to make it a little bit more than that. We could say coffee beans and see if we have an option for that. We're going to add coffee beans, and that's what we're doing right there. Now below we can have custom collections. So right now it's going to be on our homepage collection, which is kind of a default that Shopify gave us, but you can make other collections. And again, going back to the example of clothing, this is one where you might have like a fall collection, you might have like different seasonal collections of clothing, and so it would make sense to add it to something like that. And then we have tags, which is really going to only be relevant if you have a search feature on your website. I usually don't like to have search features on a website. I think it gets kind of cluttery, but regardless, tags might still be convenient in case someday down the road we want to add that. So I'm going to say coffee, okay. And then below here we have, right now it's going to be on online store. So now I'm going to say save, and that is our first product. You can see it's really not that hard, ready to go, or we now have that already listed on our website. So the next thing I want to do is actually go back and maybe we want to add some other products. So go back to all products. Right now you can see that it looks a little different. It's not a blank screen anymore, of course. And so we have our first product there. If we ever wanted to edit that product, we could very easily just click on it and it brings us right into the editing interface. Otherwise, if you have multiple products, which we will eventually have, you can select one of them. And from here, you can manage things like you can delete the product, you can archive the product, all types of things like that. Okay, so now we can add, let's say, another product. And you'll see right here, it also says export and import. And so you have some options. Of course, you could import other products if you had another Shopify store and you're transferring it, or if you want to move this elsewhere, you could export your product list as well. I'm going to add a new one. And let's say maybe we're selling, let's say, a t-shirt. So let's say coffee lovers t-shirt. And we can add some dummy text here, just a bunch of dummy text, whatever. And we're going to say, goes great with our signature coffee. And so here is an example of maybe where we want to add that link. So I can highlight this and click on insert link, and we can have the link to our other product. Now we can have it open in the same window or in a new window. I'm going to have it open in a new window so people have two products open. They can look at them and maybe they're not that related. And then I can go and add a link title as well. This is really only for SEO purposes, and this can be our signature Kona coffee. And I'm just using the term Kona. I don't know why I picked that for coffee. Now we can go down and add some media for this. So I think I took a photo. Oh, look at that. Look at that t-shirt. That's gonna sell like crazy. Everyone's gonna love that. and add some other media. I don't have any other t-shirt pictures, but just to show you guys how the photos are going to show up, I'm just going to add maybe like these two right here. I'm going to upload those two photos. It's like a coffee bean field and some stock photo of coffee beans. And then again, we can have our price. So this is going to be maybe $25 and a compare at price, let's say 40. I don't know if we want to add that. And then here, let's just say it costs us $10 to make. So we have 60% margin. Again, I don't feel like charging tax on this one. Or, hypothetically, this is not legal advice, but I'm just saying, look at your local laws. And if you do need to charge tax, then obviously do. As the SKU on this one, I'm going to say 10,002. So that's going to be the next thing we have. And the available quantity, let's just say we have maybe 20 of these. This is a physical product. So again, we want the weight for this one. I'm going to say it's maybe like 1 pound. We can ship in the United States. And then we can have right here, this is what I was talking about before. This can have a size, a color, and things like that. So starting off with size, we'll say we have large, we've got medium, we've got small, extra small, and extra large. Maybe that's what we have. Okay, so we're going to say done. And we can add another option as well. So besides just size, maybe we want to make a whole permutation out of this, and we want to have a color as well. So color is going to be the next one. And we can have blue, we can have black, we can have white, and maybe that's what we have for this one. And I'm just going to add another one just for fun. We're going to say fit. And here we can have slim, we can have casual, and we can have loose. I don't know, whatever. Just to give you an idea of how these are actually going to show up. You'll see when we look at the product in just a second. And down here, it's going to add a lot of options for how we can actually set these up. So you see, we have all these different variations, a massive permutation. Each one's going to have different inventory tracked. So you can see here, now that we have a 3x3x5 matrix, you're going to have a massive number of different SKUs here. As you can see, each one was auto-generated. So we started at 10,002. It's going to go down and go all the way to 10,046 right here. A lot of different big permutation right there. And so essentially, you've got like large blue slim, large blue casual, right? So I'm going to delete the fits. Maybe we don't want to do that. I'm just going to go and say, we can edit that and we could just maybe get rid of this so we don't have fit. So now we just have size and color, which again, we still have quite a few products and you want to go through and add the quantities for all of them. But rather than doing the price for every single one, which is going to be a headache, what you can do is click the little select all button right there. And we can go to more actions and we can edit the SKUs of these, the barcodes. We can add images for all of them. We can remove the variations, or we could edit the prices. So maybe for all of them, we want all the prices to start at maybe $27 instead. So we're going to apply to all. And then if we want like a large blue one to be maybe 50 cents extra, we can easily add that right now. And so you see that each one you can have a different price. If you want extra large to be a little more expensive, you can do that. And so another option is to go to Open Bulk Editor. So I'm going to, before we do that, let's save our changes. So we're going to save the product. And then we're actually going to go to Bulk Editor whenever this is done saving, because it's saving quite a few products here. Don't forget that was like another 15 products. We're going to open the bulk editor, and this is going to allow you to do, it's a lot easier to do this. You can have the compare at prices a little different. You can go through and change the SKUs a little easier. Like everything's going to show up in a much easier fashion. We can also add some other fields, so like cost per item if we want to add that one in there. But essentially, that's how you can go and start to really make this a little more efficient, especially if you have a store with a lot of products. And of course, with each one, I highly recommend adding a photo, a different photo for each one, at least for colors. People want to know what they're buying. For this one, because I didn't actually take the time to make a bunch of different photos like that, I'm not going to do that. But you get the idea. You'd click on that and you can add an image for that one and for all of these as well. So I'm not going to do that right now, but down here again, the SEO is there. I'm going to click on save, and now we have our second product ready to go, or really that's like the next 15 products ready to go. So from here, if we go to all products, you'll see this one is just a draft. I didn't actually make it active. So if we go back to this, we could either, right now, we can go to, click on that. We can go and make that an active product. So it's showing up on our site. And again, all the stuff on the right side is really going to be the same. So that's the next thing that you really want to keep in mind there. Now, if we go to all products, again, I think you guys get a pretty good idea of how things are really going to work here. So it shows you inventory, 20 in stock for 15 different variations. We also have 500 in stock of the little 2-pound bags. So it's great that it's really categorizing things in an easy way and really showing you a lot of information in a very simple to read table. Now, of course, we can also go down to inventory, and this breaks it down by individual item. So based on the size and the color, you can see how many you have. You can go and actually add the quantities, and you can change that. So if you say, like, if you make an order and you suddenly have a lot more blue medium ones in stock, we can go right here and say we have another 50 of that. We could say we have another 40. We've got 40 of this, and let's save all of these. And so at first it says available, now it's ready to go. The quantity has been updated. We're gonna close out of those little notifications, we don't need them. And so again, this is really self-explanatory, but very, very nice to see how many you have available, and they turn red when they get to 0. So you should really know which ones you need to order more of and when you need to do that. Below that, we have transfers. This one is not something I'm really going to talk a whole lot about in this video. We've got collections, like I said before. Right now we have the homepage collection, but maybe instead we want to maybe rename that to the classic coffee collection. Right, so maybe that's the first thing. We're going to save that. And before I dive into what it is, let's actually just go and create a new one. So create a new collection. I think I did it a little fast. If we go to create collection, the green button on the top right, we can name this one maybe like the Santrel coffee apparel. And here we can add another description, so description of whatever. This can be an automated one. It can be a manual one where you manually add different products to here. So I'm going to do that manually for now, I guess. And then below here, we can see what the SEO looks like. We can add an image for this collection, which I would love to do. I think that would be a good idea there. So we can add that image right there. That's going to be the little icon for the collection. And it's going to be, ready to go on our store. So I'm going to save that. And like I said before, we can add like the t-shirt or whatever. Let's actually do that just so you guys can see again as a reminder. If we go to t-shirt from products, we can go down on the right side and it's going to be collections here. So collections, we have Santrel coffee apparel. We're going to save it, and now it will be in that collection. Additionally, another product we could have is not really a product, but we still get money for it. It's a gift card. It's essentially, when somebody wants to buy a gift for somebody and they can shop on here later, we can add gift card products. We can issue gift cards. And so very easy to manage that within here. I'm not going to really do that right now, but you could say maybe like if you want to add a gift card, it's not especially hard to do. So you could just add that as another product. You know what? Whatever. We're going to do that right now just so I can show you guys. Buy this as a gift, please. Right, and then we can have some media, so maybe like Photoshop a little picture of a gift card and actually put your name on it, and that would be something that you'd add for media. Otherwise, again, I'm just going to use one of the stock photos I already have. Maybe, let's say this one right here. That's like our gift card. And we have different denominations we could have as well. So maybe people, $10 is kind of low. $25, $50, and $100 gift cards people could buy for somebody else. And we can offer those. Otherwise, it's, we'll just make it active, and that one's ready to go. And so that is technically another product that we have. If we go to all products, you should see a gift card there as well, that there is no tracked inventory because it's a gift card. And so people can buy that and send that to other people digitally as well. Okay, so now that we have a couple products in the store, it's time to talk about what the website actually looks like. So if we just open a new tab and go to the domain we currently have, you'll see there's pretty much nothing there. It's just a blank template with some stock photos and some basic filler text to show you what it kind of would look like. But we can look at what the products actually are. So the products we have, so maybe like right here, this is what I was saying where it crosses it out and says that normally it's $25, we're selling it for $15. You can click on that. It says there's a sale. It highlights that. It makes it a little more appealing to people. So if you're running sales or if you just are really focusing on selling one item on your website, that would be a good way to do that. And then here you can see already with almost no effort, at least with this theme right here, it looks pretty good, I think. It has our photos on the left side. On the right side, it shows like the product, the seller being us. It shows like the price of it, the quantity, how many they want to buy. You can add it to cart. You can buy it now. And of course, down here is what I was saying about making the text a little bit more flavored. Adding that bold in there just makes it a little bit more like it pops out better, make kind of a bolded list. I like that. I think it looks nice, but we could add links on there as well, like I said. And below here, they're cross-selling something that is another product that you might also like. Now, below that, of course, you can subscribe to emails. We're going to actually build all the website right now. So let's go back to where we were, and let's go to home. So from home, we can actually go down here, and the next thing that Shopify suggests we do is actually customize our theme. So let's do that. If we go and click on Customize Theme, you can either do that right here, or you can do it from clicking on Online Store, going to Theme, and customizing it through there. But again, it's a little bit easier sometimes just to start from the home page and click on Customize Theme. Now, of course, that brings you down into the Themes tab. I'll explain exactly what a sales channel is later on in the video. But right here, you can see that right now the online store is password protected, meaning that nobody can go on here and buy stuff because our website's not ready. But if I want to go on there and see the products, I can type in my password and I can see that. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty confident in the products I just made. So I'm going to disable the password, which is a setting down here. We can go down here. And in order to disable the password, which is what I said before, in order to sell anything on this, you actually have to upgrade your plan. So you can't just sell things on the free trial and open free trials every week, right? Makes sense. That's what we have to do. So I guess now is as good a time as ever to look at the plans. If we go and click on pick a plan, we can actually go and see that they have 3 different main plans right here. You've got a basic Shopify plan, a regular Shopify plan, and an advanced one. And of course, down here, they show you some of the fundamental differences between them. And depending on what kind of volume you're selling and things like that, you can really optimize your gains and minimize your expenses by choosing the correct plan. For example, if you're selling a lot and it's all domestic, then maybe this 2.4% rate, or even if it's international, is going to be really worth it if you're selling a lot of products. But of course, most people starting out don't have a big audience yet. They don't have a big sales channel. So really, I'm going to recommend most people just start off with the basic plan, and you can upgrade this further on down the road. It's very easy to do. So starting off with the basic one gives you up to 2 staff members and a lot of the basic stuff that you really do need. Now, of course, you will save money if you're going with 3 years or 2 years or even yearly. You can see you're saving, it's $26 a month versus $29 a month, all the way up to 3 years, which is $21.75 a month versus, again, $29 a month. But because I'm doing this just as a tutorial, I'm just going to choose monthly. But keep in mind, in general, I really recommend, if you can afford it, yearly is probably your best bet here. And then down here, we can add our payment method. So this is going to be a subscription, of course. So keep in mind, you want to maybe not use like a Visa gift card. Make sure it's something like your actual business credit card or debit card so that everything is going through smoothly. I'm going to add that right now. All right, so once you choose your plan, you enter your information and you click Start Plan. That'll bring you right back here to the home page. And so going back to what we were saying about customizing the theme, let's click on Customize Theme from our home page, and it's going to bring you, again, right here. Again, we are still password protected, so I'm going to go and disable the password. Now we should be able to do that, so I'm just going to deselect Enable Password, click on Save, and now our store is technically live. It's ready to go, and anybody can start buying things from our store. Okay. So that was a little bit of a roundabout there. We still haven't edited the theme. Let's go back to home one more time, go to Customize Theme, and now we can actually go and customize it. So Shopify has a lot of both paid and free themes. So before we go and customize this one, let's see if there's any other theme that we'd like a little better. So as we go down here, you scroll down, you can see Theme Library. We have free ones, and we have Shopify Theme Store. There's a lot of them, like I said, but it's still relatively limited. So if we go to the free ones, I think there's only like 12 or 15 different ones. Yeah, you can see right here. But each of these, don't be deceived, they have like 2 or 3 different variations of each of them. So for example, if I go to, let's say maybe I really like this one. I think this has, 3 variations on this one as well. And so really the main difference is it's not going to be the photos on there. You can customize the text in the photos. It's really going to be like the font, the color, and the overall spacing of that it will save you a lot of time if you find a theme that looks most like what you really want it to look like in the end. So I'm going to go back and say out of these, maybe for a coffee shop, this one just really resonates with me. This one looks the best. So we've got pantry, we've got bistro. Bistro, sure, that looks pretty good. I think that would work really well for a coffee shop or for a coffee selling company. So I'm going to go add that theme to the library, and that is going to be our theme once we have it activated. Okay, so we added that, but you can see right here, if we scroll up, it still says Dawn is our live theme. So if we click on Actions, we can actually go and publish this one. Click on Publish, and that is going to make this one our new theme. So that's something that I know, like a lot of beginners, when you start a Shopify store, it's one of the most confusing things is you add a theme and you always wonder like why does it not just by default go into that? But it's because you added it to your library and you didn't actually add it and make it the live theme. So once you publish that, it becomes your live theme, and now our website is using that theme. So again, if you go to Actions, you can rename this, you can duplicate it, you can download the theme file, you can edit the code if you want to do some more advanced things or edit languages. What we're going to do is go to Customize, and this is going to allow us to really change the way the website looks, change where the text is, the titles, everything like that. But essentially, let's take a look at what we have right here, a new interface, right? So this interface on the left side, we kind of have the structure of what is on the website, and I'll dive into each of these in just a minute. And then on the top, we have some other settings up there for like what page we're on. We can toggle between different products or collections or different pages, blog posts, the cart, all types of stuff like that. Right now, we are just on the home page, and then this little thing over here. It's actually supposed to be like an iMac, I think, and that means desktop, essentially. So desktop, and we have mobile, we've got full screen, and so from desktop, we can actually go here and scroll down, and the main part of this window is going to be a preview of what the website would actually look like for a viewer on here on a desktop site. And of course, I highly recommend you switch between mobile and desktop as much as possible so you can really get an idea for how it's going to look. So right here, Santrel Coffee with the E's cut off, looks really bad. We don't want that. We want to make sure we fix that. But things like that they're going to come up as you keep building your website, and you just really want to make sure that you have a great experience on both mobile and desktop, because in all likelihood, it's going to be very close to 50-50 with where your traffic comes from. Actually, if you advertise on Instagram or any social media, it's going to be predominantly mobile, which for most people is really probably what's going to be the truth. Now, let's go back to desktop. I think it's easier to build in desktop. I just always like building websites in desktop. It's easier to see everything, and then, kind of retrofit for mobile in just a minute. Now, as we scroll down, you can see that this theme has a lot of, basic stuff for like photos and things like that, but I'm going to go and actually start customizing on the left side. So if we click on header, let's start off with that. Right here it says announce something here. That's a very bland header. So we're going to start off with our logo. Let's make a logo, and I can upload, and as far as the logo goes, let's say maybe a small photo like this. Really, you want to have like a square one that's not that big. You want it to be like 10 pixels by 10 pixels or something. Like a lot of times it doesn't have to be huge, but here we're just going to use that. That's our logo, whatever. And so we're going to select that. And we can add some alt text. Now, alt text is essentially going to be what you're telling Google the photo is. Or it doesn't have to be Google, it could be anyone, any software looking at this is going to, like, as a human, I can look at that and say it's a cup of coffee, but Google sometimes likes it if you tell it what it is. So we can say cup of coffee, and we're going to save that. Now, the custom logo width, you can change the size of the logo just by doing this. So I'm going to make it maybe slightly larger, maybe like that size would make sense. And below that, we don't have anything that I really need to do here. They give you some options for what the menu looks like, so we can select the menu. Right now, we have a main menu, a footer menu, or we can create a new one. So if I go and create a new menu, it'll drive me back to the navigation settings, and it's a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but bear with me. This is going to be very important. So we're going to call this, call it primary menu. And here we're going to add some items. So this could be just links to different things. So we could have our homepage, and this is going to be homepage. We can add another one that is going to be, let's say, our main product or a collection or something like that. So let's see, maybe it's going to be one of our collections. It could be the apparel. So we could say apparel makes sense for that one. Let's add that. Let's add another one that's going to be maybe our checkout or maybe our policies. Policy is probably a good one. Currently, we don't have any policy pages, so maybe we'll come back and add this later on in the video. Otherwise, you can add maybe blog posts or products. Let's just add another product on here. Let's just say maybe our classic coffee. So we could rename this one and say classic coffee. And say save menu, and now we have that menu ready to go. That actually opened up in a new tab, so I can go back to the other tab, and we should be able to add that right now. So I'm going to save this, make sure we're up to date. And if we go to select menu, we should have three options now. There it is, primary menu. And so if I add primary menu across the top, now we have those options there. So we can, viewers can really easily navigate between our homepage, our apparel, our coffee, like different things like that. Whatever you think is important, you can add it to the top of your website. And of course, this will be there on any page they see throughout your entire website. So I'm going to click the green select button to actually finalize that that's what we want on the top. And then we can go down here, and it gives us a couple options. We can show search. Like I said, that's why you would want to add tags on your products. I don't really like having search. It usually feels a little bit like it's just not a smooth experience on most websites. It's really hard to get it smooth. So I just get rid of search. I don't think you need that. And then it also makes your tagging a lot easier. We can enable a secondary background text color if you want to do that. I think it looks kind of nice on this particular theme, so I'm going to leave that. And then on the top, we can show or hide the announcement. So if you want to have an announcement, like our fall collection is now available, or we have a sale, or like 20% off store wide, you can do that. But for now, let's just add an announcement bar. So let's just say 20% off, and we'll just say use code Mike. Use code Mike, and that's going to give them like 20% off. And so that's something that maybe we'll add that later on. We'll add a code, and I'll show you guys how you can add discount codes later. But for now, maybe that's just like an announcement bar we want to have on the top. There's also some theme settings here as well. So if you want to show cart, like little cart drawer, I think that's a good thing to have there. The currency codes, sure, that makes sense as well. And you can add your social medias here also. So if we want to say like maybe Instagram, it could be like Instagram. So https://Instagram, Mike O'Brien. And so once we have that, our Instagram is now really integrated with this as well. And we can leave the header. So that's how you'd edit your header. Sound a little complicated, but really Shopify does make it really easy where you can just go down, click on header, and you can just really go down here and just go one item at a time and change it. So in the end, you have a header that you think looks really nice. Now, of course, like I said, this is essentially the preview on the right side, so it's going to show you what it looks like on desktop. But if you're on mobile, keep in mind, things will look a little different, and now it's kind of more of a hidden menu where you click on the 3 dots, little hamburger icon, and it pops out. And so it doesn't really look as nice here, but still, it's nice to have the menu on any part of your entire website. So going back to desktop, we can navigate around. So if we go to like Santrel apparel, if we go to classic coffee, you can navigate on here. And I think this honestly looks really nice. I think for the little effort we've done so far, I'm very happy with how this actually turned out. Now, if somebody clicks on the logo, that will always bring them back to the home page. So realistically, adding home page right here might be redundant, but not everyone knows you can click on the logo. So sometimes redundancies help people to, reduce frustration for anybody who's not used to being on your website. Now, next up, we have our feature collections, which is going to be essentially what this block is right here. And so looking at websites usually are broken into different blocks. So we've got image with text. Actually, sorry, this is image with text, our first block. The second block is going to be feature collections, and that's going to be all these collections right here. Then we have featured product is the next thing. And I'll talk about how to rearrange these and customize them any way you want. But essentially, you can have your featured product. Then below that, we have image with text. We've got image with text 2 more times. And then on the bottom, we have our footer. So we edited the header. Let's go down and edit the footer now. Now, the footer, we can go and show payment icons if you want. I think that's a good thing to add right there. We've got our colors. And of course, you can customize that a little bit more in theme settings. Okay, so the footer, you can change like the color of the background, the heading, the body text, things like that. But if you want to actually change what it says there, you'll notice it looks a little confusing, like it doesn't pop up right away. And what you'd actually want to do is make sure that you click this little triangle and expand footer. And then you have 2 little things in here. You've got talk about your business, which is just this little thing right here, just text and a little subtext below that. And then we have newsletter. So if you click on either one of those, first of all, I want to talk about, before we go into editing those, you can either hide them, so you suddenly don't see this one, or you can, show it again, and you can rearrange them. So left, right, obviously the top one is on the left, so if we move this one to the top, that one should switch spots, and that's how you can switch the overall arrangement of that. You can also add other blocks as well, so if you want a third one, you can have, maybe you want to have like a menu on the bottom as well, and that's going to show up over there. But, I don't really think I need a menu, so I can just click on that, and I want to remove this block. So we're going to remove that block. But maybe, let's say, talk about your business. Obviously, we want to add some kind of text there. So if we click on that, it'll actually bring us into the heading and the text, and we can customize it more here. So maybe you want to have like our mission on the bottom. So we could say, we strive family owned. So we can say something like that. Maybe our mission is going to be on the bottom just to make it a little more, small business kind of feel there. So if we go back, that's essentially going to be the same concept we're going to follow with the rest of these. So that's how you edit the footer and the header. And now the rest of the main page right here. Again, this is just the home page, but the way you'd be editing it, of course, on the left side, you have all these different blocks, as I pointed out. You've got like image with text, you've got feature collections, things like that. And just like the footer, you can rearrange the way these look. So if I want featured product to be below image with text, we can click on the little 6-dot array and drag it down, and it'll show up right there. And you can see in a little preview here, it shows where it's going to be. Let's drop it right there. And essentially, that's how you go about doing things. Now, if we want to add a new section, we can click on Add Section. And this could be a banner. It could be image with text, a multi-column thing. Multi-column is what we saw on the footer. So let's just say we want a multi-column. Let's say the first thing is a column, just basic column, whatever. We could add another column, and each one is just going to basically be an image, a title, and then some text. So this would be like There's not a whole lot of customization here. You can't really put different things there like we did with the footer. You're not going to put like a newsletter thing. But regardless, if you want to have different images and different text, that's how you'd go about doing that. Now, before we go into editing those, again, I'm just talking about the macro here. Before we go into edit individual things, let's start getting into individuals though. So starting off in the very top one, image with text. So right here, we're going to click on that and it'll bring us into a little editor to edit this specific kind of banner stripe box. And then it'll bring us into an editor for this specific element. So let's say the title here is going to be We Sell Coffee, or We Love Coffee. And so the text below that, we want to say like coffee is our passion. Coffee is our passion, right? And we can have a button down there if we want, and the button could be something like try our signature coffee if we want to have a button. And the link to the button could be to a product, and maybe it's going to be to our classic dark roasted coffee, right? So right there, now we have a button, an action item on the top. That's something I like to have. And of course, like I said, if you don't want to have a button there, you could delete the button link. You could delete the text there. You could delete the text like this little thing. By just deleting it, it automatically gets rid of that. So I'm going to keep it there. And we're going to say, our community. Okay, there we go. So that's what that's going to be. And of course, we can add an image up here. So if we select an image, we can upload a new one. And maybe our top image, of course, you want this to be like a really good image, a little more of a square one. Let's go with this image right here. That's going to be, at least for now, the main choice on the right side. So the image that we have, once you select it, not a whole lot you can change about it. I wish the size was like slightly different, but it is what it is for now. And we can get into some more advanced settings later. Now, I don't really like the size and the aspect ratio of this right now, so maybe what we want to do is once we click the little X, there is a setting on the bottom that we can disable to keep the image ratio. So maybe instead we want it to fill the space a little more, and I think that looks a lot better, a little more balanced on the overall page. And so that's how we have our first element right there. So now we're going to click on the back icon right here. So we'll go to back. Okay, so image with text is our first element. The second thing is featured collections. And so here we've got 4 different collections that they're showing. I don't have 4 collections made, so maybe this entire section is just a wash. Maybe we should get rid of it. But just to look into how you'd actually go about editing this, you can see right here we've got 4 collections when you click the drop-down arrow, and each one, or 5 collections. I think they're showing 5 collections, but only 4 right here. So each one, you can maybe you can click on that. You can remove the block if you want to get rid of that one. Go down to just 4. Maybe we'll just go down to 3. So let's go down to 3. And you'll see right there we have 3 across the top now. So each collection is going to show a bunch of different products. So if we click on the first collection, we can select a collection. Maybe like Santrel Apparel is going to be the first collection. We'll save that one and we'll go back. The second collection is going to kind of be tabs. So if people like click across here, they'll see like all the different ones. So the second collection, maybe we want to have, we could just say, we don't have another collection, but we could say like classic coffee collection is the other one that we kind of have. Each one only has 1 item in it, but whatever. As you build out a store and you have more and more products, that definitely makes more sense to have that there. And then lastly, I'm going to remove the third collection. So we just have these 2 collections. Really, that's probably fine. That's all we really need. And it just shows some of our top products right now. That's a simple way to do that. Now, going down, of course, so we've got image with text. We're really plowing through these. We've got featured collections. Image with text again. You guys already know how to do this, so I don't really need to touch on this too much, but let's just say maybe it's going to be our story. Our story, we could say that like we are family owned, and then just a bunch of dummy text, I don't know. And we can select an image right here. And I think for this one, I'm not going to add a button because it feels like this is a little bit more of like just an about us kind of raw, authentic thing. And I don't really need to drive any traffic anywhere. If you have too many buttons, it definitely can get a little bit noisy, a little bit cluttered. So again, we're going to select this image right here. Select. I am going to change the image ratio so it matches again. And here we can choose the secondary background. I don't really care about any of that stuff. Mobile is going to be text first or image first. You can choose that. That's actually really interesting because essentially what it's going to do is take this block, this little half right here, and this half, and it's going to put one on top of the other. So you can choose if you want this on top of that or the image first. Because we have not really any images above that, I think I might want to maybe try image first. Let's just try that. I don't know. See what it actually look like on desktop. Oops, I meant to do that for mobile. So on desktop, we want to do that. So if we go to mobile, it should put it that way, image on top. I don't know. That might look a little better, maybe not. It's up to you depending on obviously what you're doing and things like that. But right there, that's a really nice thing that you can actually customize there. Otherwise, not a whole lot I want to change about image with text on this segment. This one looks fine, so we're going to go back and move on to the next one. The next one is featured product. You guys already know which featured product I'm going to pick here. So we're going to select a product, and this one is obviously going to be our dark roasted coffee beans, the classic, the main important thing. And you'll see here, it's bringing a lot of that important stuff that we had, like the description, the title, the price, the add to cart, and of course the images we have. It brings that right over and integrates it and embeds it really well on your homepage. So I think that looks really nice. So far, this website, I mean, you guys saw how little effort I've actually put into this, and it already looks like a pretty professional website that, if you built from scratch, would take a really, really long time to make. Continuing down, we've got, of course, a bunch more image with text. I'm just gonna actually hide them. That probably makes the most sense. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you about the homepage. We've got the header, we've got the little banner on the top, we've got the footer, we've got all the elements in the middle. If you want to add another section, I know I call them element section all interchangeably, but section's the technical term that Shopify uses. If you want to add another section, you can add basically anything right here. You can add a banner, which we of course have. We've got image with text. We have a lot of those. We've got multi-column. We talked about that. Featured collection, custom content, all of that different stuff. All great. And I think we're probably ready to move on to the next page. So once you're done with one page, again, I can't stress this enough. It's really important to switch between mobile and desktop and see how it actually looks. So far, things look pretty good. This looks pretty good. Still looks good. I think overall, this page looks really good on both on mobile and desktop. And of course, this is something that Shopify really excels with because they have a really relatively limited supply or selection of themes. Like, there's a lot to choose from, but there's not like thousands. And because of that, they can really make sure each one is very curated and really responsive, so it's easy to switch between mobile and desktop. And it's honestly pretty hard to make it look bad on either one of those. So like I said, let's move on to the next page. If you click the drop down on the top, you can see we have a lot of different pages here. We've got our cart, our checkout, we've got blog posts. I'm not really gonna make blog posts with this one, but that is something that some people really want to do for SEO purposes. SEO, of course, being search engine optimization. The idea here is that when you have more items that are going to be searched for on Google, it'll drive more traffic to you. So if people look up like how to roast my own coffee beans and you have an article on that, maybe you also sell unroasted beans, then that would be a great way to drive traffic over here with recipes and things like that. Of course, let's talk about products. So if we go to a product page, the default product page, because all of our products are kind of on the same layout here, you don't really want to change too much about this. Honestly, like I said, I already really do like it, but product recommendations might be something that you want to change. I showed you that earlier in the video. When you go to the page, it shows you like the t-shirt on the bottom. So you could maybe remove this if you want, or you could show like a dynamic recommendation. So it's going to be a little bit smarter, a little bit more based on like over time it'll improve based on what people buy together. I'm going to do that just so it's not like, it's a little easier for me, and I think it usually does a pretty decent job. So other than that, I didn't want to show you too much about products. Going down, we've got collections. So the collection page, again, looks pretty decent. If we go to default, there's not a whole lot I want to change there. And so for most of these, you can go through them and change things if you want. I don't really see a need to change many of them, but if you go to pages, this is where you can see that we have like our basic like default page. Right now is our contact page. So if somebody wants to contact us, they can enter their name, their email, and this might be something that maybe you want to customize a little bit more. Again, not a huge deal, and you can add more pages. There's also different apps and things I'll talk about later on in this video to add other pages and things like that. But really, we want to just kind of go through these. Every theme's going to be different. You want to make sure that it still looks good when you go to cart, when you go to checkout. Obviously, that is one of the most important parts of the entire process. If people are buying things from you, then they're always going to go through your cart and through checkout, or almost always, unless they just do an instant order. And so because of that, like, you want to make sure that you don't lose people at that stage of the process. And of course, here is the final thing for checkout. Shopify does a really good job of all of this, so there's not really anything else I want to talk about when you're customizing the website itself, but there's plenty of stuff still to do with our actual Shopify store. So when you're done, when you went through all your pages, everything you like, click save. Obviously, click save more than once while you're going through the process, but at the end, definitely click save at least one last time, and we can click on the little exit button on the top left. So now we have our theme is ready, our website's pretty good, ready to go. And if you go down here, you'll see on home, let's go back to home, it tells us that the next thing we have to do is actually add a domain. So I honestly probably should have showed you guys this a little earlier, but it didn't really matter until now anyway. So we have that kind of crappy domain that's like santrelcoffee2.myshopify.com. Like we don't want that, right? We want a good domain. So the next step, of course, is to get a domain. And so if we go and click on add domain, right now it has that weird one, whatever. Let's say we want to buy a new domain. But of course, you don't have to. You could transfer a domain, and you can honestly probably get one a little bit cheaper from something like Namecheap or GoDaddy, or there's a lot of different places that have domains you can buy. But honestly, I just think it's so much easier to not have to go through that hassle. Just do it directly through Shopify, or at least that's what I prefer to do. And you might spend an extra couple dollars, but let's say it's going to be santrelcoffeeshop.com. santrelcoffeeshop.com. See if it's available. It's not available, probably because I did that in a tutorial in the past. Let's just say Mike's Gourmet Coffee Shop. Mike's Gourmet Coffee. There we go. So it's ready to go. We can buy the domain, mikesgourmetcoffee.com. We have to make sure that we have the right address and everything, and it'll automatically renew next year. I'm not going to do that because it's a tutorial, but everyone else, definitely make sure you do that so you don't lose your website in a year when you build up traffic and have like everything ready to go. That's going to be a bad surprise. So I recommend auto renewing. It just makes it way easier. And then we are actually going to go and buy the domain. Now, this one little thing I want to point out that is a big benefit here, this domain includes WHOIS privacy. This means that your personal information won't be displayed in public domain registration records. That's something that if you buy a domain anywhere else, I know I mentioned you could do it on Namecheap and GoDaddy and in different places. If you do it anywhere else, I highly recommend you pay the extra couple dollars and get WHOIS privacy. It's so nice that it comes with it on Shopify, but some places it's not included by default. And so it's something that if you have a business, you're going to be in public, I really recommend that. So I'm going to go and buy the domain right now, and we will be ready to go with the domain. And it really makes it so much easier. Like I said, buying directly through Shopify, it integrates so smoothly, obviously, and they pretty much set it up for you. So now it actually says I have to verify my email address. So I'm going to go to my email and, of course, do that. All right, so now I've verified my email and that notification went away. And so now you can see that we have our domain. It's connected. It's ready to go. Like I said, it automatically does it. You don't have any kind of DNS settings, and it can get really annoying otherwise. So I know I already said that, but that's what you're going to do right there. Okay, so now we're in like this weird other settings interface. We don't really want to be dealing with settings right now. We'll talk about all the settings later on. So let's click the X and get back to where we were on the home page. So from home, you'll see the next thing we want to do is actually set up payments. So obviously we have a product, we have our website all built out. It looks really nice. We've got a domain. Accepting payments is going to be really important so people can actually buy stuff. So let's set up payments, just clicking on through that, and it's going to bring you back into settings. Like I said, I'm going to go through all the rest of the settings later on where it talks about taxes and gift cards, and we'll talk about that discount to 20% off for Mike, right? We're going to talk about that. But let's first talk about setting up payments. So here we've got Shopify payments, which they really want you to do, but there's also like PayPal, Express thing. We've got Amazon Pay, all types of different things. One of the best things about Shopify is that they have so many integrations. They work with almost anybody out there. And so between the integrations from like Facebook Pixels to payments to anything like that, it just is a really nice, easy platform to work with other brands with. So with this, let's actually go and complete the setup just for Shopify payments for now. That's really all I care to do. So we're going to go and complete account setup. And here it's going to ask you just some basic information about your employer identification number, or if you're a sole proprietor, you just use your own, like your social security ideally, or, obviously consult your accountant or attorney based on whatever your business structure is and figure out what the right information to put is here. But I'm just going to go and put in my own information now. Okay, so I set up Shopify payments, but something that you want to keep in mind, and this is something that will vary with the plans, is that you are going to be seeing a rate of 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. And so that's going to be something that is a little bit of a heftier fee, almost 3% per transaction. So not ideal, but of course, that's what you're going to be working with right here. So let's go back out of settings and again, go back to home. The next thing they recommend is actually setting up shipping, which again is going to be the next thing that I think we should be doing here. And then we'll go through the left side and then we'll go through settings. And then that's almost everything you'll need to know. But keep in mind, the settings are incredibly important. There's a couple really big things that I don't think you should miss because if you don't change the settings the right way, you can really end up regretting it further on down the road. So let's set up shipping right now. Again, it brings us back into settings for shipping. And so here we can set up what our shipping rates are. So local delivery, local pickup, things like that. And you can go and print out test labels. I think it's really nice when you use things like Shopify shipping, where it can, obviously work very directly with DHL and UPS and USPS or whatever your country's equivalent are. And so I really like that. I like that you can go and print out the labels, just slap it on there. If you've got a sticker label or sticker printer, that's even easier. I maybe recommend investing in that if you end up, getting a lot of clients or a lot of customers. So otherwise, going down here, you can see that we can enable third-party calculated rates. That's going to be something that you need to upgrade, unfortunately, to do that. But for now, I'm not going to go through anything particular here. For now, shipping, whatever. We might even just say free shipping on some of the stuff and then just pay for it on the back end. So for example, if we click on manage rates, you can go and it says shipping and delivery. We can choose how much we're going to charge for shipping for each one based on the weight of it. I don't know. This gets a little more particular. Basically, the idea is that if you go into shipping and delivery through settings, you can customize this based on where you are, how much you want to charge for shipping and handling and things like that. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to dive into that too much because it gets a little bit technical and it's very dependent on where you are. Okay, so now, I think we went through everything on their checklist pretty much. The next thing I want to talk about is going through the left side here. So obviously we know what home is. We talked about products. Products were obviously a huge part of this video. We talked about gift cards. We talked about everything like that. Orders is obviously going to be when people place orders, you'll see them there. You can mark them as complete. You can go through things. And obviously that's going to be incredibly important. You can also see abandoned checkouts, which could either indicate that the checkout process wasn't good enough, or for some reason people were almost ready to buy it and for some reason they didn't. And if you go through here and you see patterns where, maybe a lot of people buying a certain type of thing abandoned their cart because they were excited and something about it just turned them off. And that would be something that you want to figure out if you want to do remarketing and send ads to them or emails to them, or if it's something that maybe you want to sell it a little harder or add more information earlier on in the process so that you don't have those abandoned checkouts. So going down, we've got customers. This is kind of similar, where it's going to talk about who bought from you, and you can see basic stuff with their name and email or stuff like that. And so if you see a bunch of repeat customers, or if you see people that you can go through here and kind of just get a general idea of who's buying from you and how many of the products they're buying, or what kind of repeat customers you have, if everybody's a unique customer. You can get some basic information here. More likely, you're probably going to use this when a customer calls and tells you that they want to return something, or for whatever reason, if you need to deal with customers, information is saved right here. Finance is going to be, of course, billing and payouts. We talked a little bit about that earlier on. We've got analytics. This is not showing anything yet, but online store sessions, which is how many times I went to this online store. And otherwise, you can really get into some very advanced analytics as more and more people visit your website. You can see what the conversion rates are, and you can really optimize it and figure out exactly what you need to improve on your store to get the best possible performance. And then we have marketing. So while the other ones I kind of brushed over, marketing is one that I won't. I think marketing is incredibly important, and there's three big things here. We've got the overview, we've got campaigns, and we've got automations. So starting off with overview, you can see right here they want you to create a campaign. That's a little green button on the top right, and they've got some basic analytics on the top, how much the marketing cost was, essentially what kind of profit you're making on your marketing. And obviously in the beginning, it's not going to be performing especially well. Your first couple ads are likely to not have the best margins, but as you learn and optimize and find out exactly where your target market is, how to market to them, what the best strategy, what the best ad style is, with more and more A to B testing, eventually it should be very easy to run ads and you'll start to get a much better margin. So going down here, you can see that we have some really cool apps. And again, one of the big things with Shopify, I talked about it before, and that is the ability to integrate with other things. So Microsoft advertising is a big one, Google, Pinterest, Snapchat ads, all this stuff. But there are other apps you can get that are not necessarily integrations, but just really nice things to add onto here. So if you're not don't worry about selling on Google and Facebook and stuff like that. Just talking about what you can have on your store. Things like SMS bump would be a really nice thing. So that if somebody, for example, abandons their checkout, maybe earlier on they put in their phone number, they signed up for your email marketing list, whatever it might be. If you captured their email or their phone number, you could send them a reminder later and say, hey, you forgot to order this. And in many cases, maybe people did forget to order it. They add it to their cart and then somebody rings their doorbell, they get distracted, their cat jumps on something. Who knows what the reason is? There are plenty of times when people abandon their cart unintentionally. And so getting a reminder is a great way to recapture that sale so that they're happy that they bought what they wanted to buy and you're happy that you made the sale. So we can actually view some other marketing apps, and the App Store for Shopify is absolutely insane. There are so many different things you can get. Specifically within marketing, you're looking at 19 different ones right here, but they are all really, really good ones. And so I can make an entire video about how to work with Facebook on this one, how to run TikTok, like work with TikTok and really integrate smoothly on that. If you guys want to see any of those, leave a comment down below. Let me know which one you want to see. But essentially, some of the key ones, like I said, SMS Bump, I think is a really good one to get. I definitely recommend that one. And as far as like what your product is, like that's going to really dictate where you want to integrate most with. And so like TikTok versus Snapchat, you can have slightly different demographics there. So depending on who you're working with, it's going to be a little bit different there. But you can see right here, so like Snapchat ads is going to be a great way to run ads on Snapchat and then send the traffic over to your store. Really nice, really convenient, and you can get a lot of information out of that. And then Shopify email is going to be kind of an in-house version of like MailChimp or something like that, where you can send out email campaigns to people that you already got their emails, so either they're past customers or they signed up for a newsletter, and you can manage that right here and actually send out emails for new sales, new collections, new product launches, things like that to really build your community. Obviously, don't spam people. They're just going to unsubscribe or mute it or block it. But if you have a really good open rate and you really provide a lot of value in this, maybe it's like a weekly recipe or something like that. If you sell coffee beans or any kind of food-related things, that'd be a great way to integrate, your product with your audience and give something of value, but also, it's free marketing essentially. That is really can be very, very valuable. So let's go back. Those are all the apps we'd maybe get. If you go to this, like you can add the app. It's very easy to do. You're going to add it to this account right here. So not a whole lot to really show with how you're adding these apps. So we're going to add it to maybe like Santrel coffee. Sure, that's what I'm. And if you click on apps, it'll show you what apps you actually have installed, as well as the other ones down there. So we'll get back to marketing in just a second, but while we're on the topic of apps, you can see that we've got other things like Shopify Inbox and really like gift upsells. We've got checkout reminders. So if somebody like moves and they're about to like I said, SMS Bump is a really popular one, and I would recommend that. But you can have other things where like I've seen websites where people move towards the X, you'll have like a pop-up that says like, hey, here's a sale, like just to kind of keep people on your website. But anyway, if we go to like SMS Bump, let's click on that. Let's add that one to our store as well. That's probably a really nice one to have. Honestly, I think most people can benefit from that. So we're going to go down and install the app. Of course, you can read about basic details like that as well, what kind of permissions it has. And then you're going to have to go through and set up the SMS Bump and everything like that. So I'm not going to go, this is not a tutorial on SMS Bump. This is just a tutorial on Shopify. So I'm actually not going to follow through with that right now. But let's see what other apps we have. So obviously there's more than just like these four for any one of them. So you can go down and say, view more apps in this collection. It brings you into the entire app store for Shopify. And like I said, you have quite a few apps to choose from. So just within this right here, you can actually go up to categories and see tons of other ones as well. So marketing, fulfillment, so shipping. There's plenty of ones with shipping where you can even set up ways that people will like get messages about like the progress of their shipping and things like that. Like there's a lot of really great things that can overall improve the customer experience on your website, as well as the efficiency for you to make both your life easier and their life better. Similar, you can set up things for like customer service and like support, for example. You can have customer accounts. You can allow them to make accounts on your website. So for here, maybe we want to add like, you can look at the reviews on these. There's obviously a lot of people have used this one. So we can go and maybe add something like an FAQ or a help center. And so this right here is going to be a help desk for customer service, FAQ, product description tabs, things like that. So maybe we want to add that. And of course, there are so many different apps you can get. I could spend hours just talking about different apps that we recommend that work really well. But really the best thing to do is actually just to go through and start looking at the apps and just kind of browsing through them to see what works well and what would really fit in very well with your website. Now, of course, with these, they're not all going to be free. Plenty of them will be free, but there's going to be some that you're going to have to pay for as well. And so keep that in mind whenever you're looking at these. Not all of them are going to be free. Okay, with that being said, let's go back to marketing. We talked about the apps. We talked about essentially the analytics on the top. the next thing would be going to campaigns. So here you can track a lot of stuff. If you go to create a campaign, there's different ways to create the campaign. Of course, you can look at ads, you can look at email, social post, SMS, and you can track all types of things like that. So it's going to essentially allow you to really create the campaign and track how well it does. And you're going to be able to do like A to B testing and really optimize things over time. So if we just say, for example, email, we already have Shopify email. So let's click on that one right here. And we're going to set up a campaign for that. So they give you some really nice templates. You can see a starting point right here. Maybe it's like a gift one, a gift email. Like we're going to say, hey, like the perfect gift is here, buy this shirt. And you can see overall the layout looks really, really nice. In fact, this I would almost not customize anything at all. Like it already looks so good. So if we selected this one, there's almost no work left to do. And you could just go and send this email out to your email list. So I'm going to get rid of that. We would choose a subject, we'd preview the text, and of course we could go and choose who it's actually from, if it's your email or if it's like a different email that you have that, you don't want everybody sending responses to this. Maybe you have like a no reply email or something. And so you can add sections. This editor is going to be slightly different than what we saw earlier with the actual website, but it's kind of the same concept where it's instead of having a list on the left side, it's all kind of interactive in the middle. So you can see each section is outlined in blue. The little 6 dots is going to allow you to rearrange it again, just like that. You can delete it, you can duplicate it, and then if you click on it, the same kind of thing pops up on the other side where you can change like the font, the text, and the image and things like that. So relatively intuitive if you understood the earlier part of this video, and really this should be fairly easy to do. So then you can send a test, you can review it, you can see again what it looks like on mobile and desktop. And so the campaigns, like, I love how Shopify makes this so easy and so well integrated with your website. So I'm going to go back, and that's how we can run campaigns. And once you have it, you'll see the campaign summary is down here. So you see right here, this is the campaign we have that I didn't actually finish. It's just called Untitled. And so, eventually you can actually build it out and send it to your email list. But when you're just getting started out, of course, you don't have an email list. So you might want to do something like the other ones would be like an ad. So maybe you want to run a Facebook ad, a Microsoft ad, Pinterest, Snapchat, Yahoo. I don't know if anyone really uses Yahoo that much, but it's there. It's there if you want it. And so going down, we've got automations then. Automations is a little bit more advanced, so I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video. That might be a topic for another video in the future, but automations can be really, really powerful. And of course here, the only one that you can get other apps and get more things right now. Google Smart Shopping is the only one we have, but I'm not going to really get into that because you'd have to go and find some other apps that work really well with this. So this actually gets back to what I said about on our website, that thing on the top that said discount Mike gives you 20% off. We can go to automatic discounts, which is really cool, or just a regular. Let's start off with regular discounts. So create a discount code. I said if we use the code Mike, you will get a fixed percentage. It will be 20% off your order. And that's going to be for all products, or you could do it for specific collections. Similarly, you could do free shipping with things. You could be buy one, get something else, like buy two, get one, or something like that. You can have a fixed amount off, like $1 off something. And so that's all just different. A percentage is probably the most common. Most people will probably use that. And for all products also makes sense. But you could add it for only specific collections. If it's only for merchandise or only for like clothing, things like that, you can do that. And then minimum requirements, you can have a minimum purchase amount. So maybe if it's like you get $10 off, but you have to spend at least $20, that's probably a nice minimum to have. And of course, we could have anybody could do it. It could be specific customers, any group of customers. You can limit so you have only one use per customer. And we can have active dates. We don't need to set an end date for now. I'm just going to have that as a banner for indefinite. And so that where we go, as soon as we go down to the bottom and say save discount code, that one is ready to go. And if we go back to discounts, you'll see that's going to be one that is live. If we ever want to get rid of that, we can select it, go to actions and disable discount, or just delete it if you just don't plan on ever using it again. And then we can go to automatic discounts. Automatic discount is going to be really cool because it allows you to do something a little bit more advanced. So this could be like clothing. And this would be essentially showing up automatically. And so essentially this would be like at checkout, it's just going to show up automatically for them. They don't need a code for this. And so we can have maybe for clothing, this is going to go and discount by like 5%. For specific collections, and this is going to be, which collection do we have? There we go, the apparel collection, add that. And we don't need to have a minimum. Let's leave it at $0. And so automatically when somebody goes to buy this, it'll take off 5% of whatever it is. Oh, minimum. We're going to say the minimum is $0. Let's make it $1 just so we don't have a zero in the system. We're going to save the discount and we're ready to go. So just like that, we now are ready to go on that one. So that is a lot that we've talked about so far, but we still need to get down to this little thing right here. But kind of summarizing, we've got home, where it's going to change a lot all the time as you progress through this journey of setting up your online store. We've got orders where you can see what people ordered, products, you can add new ones, digital, physical, drop shipping, whatever it might be. And another thing to keep in mind is if you're doing something like drop shipping, a lot of people would recommend using different apps. That would be like Oberlo was a really popular one a while ago. That market's a little bit more saturated. Then we've got finances, analytics, marketing, discounts, and apps. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. It didn't really make sense to go through apps that much in this video, but depending on what you're doing, like everybody should go through and browse all the apps. I highly recommend that. But again, depending on what kind of thing you're selling it and how it is, if it's digital product, physical product, drop shipping, anything like that, you're going to have different apps that will work really well. And actually, you can leave a comment below on your favorite app that you find for your Shopify store. So now let's talk about sales channels. I mentioned before that right now, the only sales channel, the only way people can go to buy our products is through our online store. But if we want to have these listed on other platforms, maybe on eBay or anything like that, you can click on the plus and add another sales channel. So if we want to sell things on eBay, we can click on the plus right here. We can have point of sale, which kind of is like a more in-person, like real life thing where you can have somebody just like swipes your credit card in your store. And the benefit of this, you might wonder like, why would you have online shopping for an in-store purchase? It's really so you can track your inventory and everything works very well in an integrated system so you don't have to manually input what people ordered. The point of sale is really nice to have, and it allows you to like accept credit cards in person without having to get a third-party thing like Square. Then, of course, we've got Google if you want to have Google Shopping integrated. So that's a huge one. And so you can have like essentially, it's really great that you can add these sales channels. If you click on a plus for anyone, it's going to take you down a whole rabbit hole of how to set that up. I'm not going to go through that right now. We're just going to go back and let's get out of that. So I'm actually not going to update the sales channel. I'm just going to go back to the regular just online store, which is what we have. And I want to talk about the settings for this one. So we've got themes, which we talked about how to pick a theme, how to move it around. We've got blog posts, which I haven't actually talked about at all yet. And this is something that I think a lot of you will be very, very interested in doing. So if we go and create a new blog post, this will allow us to essentially add it in a very fundamental way right now. So Shopify is not the number one source for blogging, right? Like it doesn't give you a lot of capabilities here, but you can still do a very sufficient amount to make a blog post. So you can have like blog post number one, just like an arbitrary title, but really you'd want to title it something that is going to be related to the subject. So maybe you'd want to be like recipe for like some quick at-home cappuccino or something like that. So then down here we have the content, and this is going to be your entire blog. And you'll notice that we do have some different formatting that we didn't see earlier on the different text editors. So here maybe we can have like in the middle, I want to add like an image in this blog post. We can insert an image here. And so maybe we want to have like this image, add some alt text. And so again, pretty rooted, like pretty fundamental right here, not a super advanced editor, but nonetheless, you can make a pretty decent blog post with this. Additionally, you'll see that we have, so title, content, that's important. We can make it visible. We can add a featured image, which is really going to show up more so in Google or social media shares for like, it's going to show up next to the title. And so like news articles, that's going to be really important. But pretty much for any blog post, I recommend having a good featured image that is related to what you're doing. Additionally, the excerpt right here is, if you want to add one, would be what's showing up down on the SEO essentially. But you don't have to necessarily add an excerpt if you don't want to. I'm going to leave that out on this one. And of course, we can have a default, this right now is the default blog post template. You can get other ones as well if you wanted a different template for a more advanced blog post. But again, for the basics, it definitely does a pretty decent job. I'm going to save this one, and you get the rough idea of how to make a blog post there. So we can actually go and view that. Let's go and view our blog post by clicking on the little view blog post thing. And you'll see right here, again, not like the best formatting ever. It looks a little bit like a HTML like 2005 blog post, but again, it might be a decent way to share a recipe and get some traffic to your website. And then once people get here, they'll see like, oh, like what's this? You guys have some apparel or you guys have some coffee, and they can navigate throughout your website and start to actually become paying customers. So let's go and leave that. I'm going to get out of these other things that we're not using either and go back to Pages. Now, Pages, this is where I'd mentioned Pages earlier on. This is going to be something like contact page is all we have right now, but I really recommend having a privacy page or terms of service or things like that. Basic pages like return policy, warranty, all those pages are going to be really nice. So if we go to add a page, you can choose like whatever the title is going to be. These don't need to be really fancy, so it's going to be the same editor we saw with the blog post. Most of the time, these pages are going to be like almost exclusively just text, like your return policy, your warranty, whatever. It's going to be just a big couple paragraphs, like a document almost, and you can usually put this in like link it in your footer, for example. So I'm going to get out of this one and not actually save that page. We've got navigation. We talked about menus earlier on, how to make menus, and you can change the menus as well. And then we have preferences down here. So the preferences would be like the homepage title. I don't feel like I really need to change that much because we saw what the metadata already looked like. But you can also integrate a lot of stuff here. And this is, again, I could do this in another video, but if you want to integrate like a Facebook pixel, I actually made a full video on how to set up a Facebook pixel. And in that video, I said like we have to essentially copy some code over. So setting up a Facebook pixel, you could do that right here. Same thing with Google Analytics, which is going to be a great way to see essentially who's visiting, where they're coming from, what the traffic's looking like. And Google Analytics is really a powerful tool that works on essentially any website, not just Shopify. And so integrating here is really, really convenient. Okay, and then lastly, I want to talk about going through settings. Now, down in settings, we've got our store details, we've got the plan that we currently have. I mentioned before it was easy to upgrade your plan, and that's essentially where you do it. In settings, you go to plan, and then from here, you can go and upgrade to essentially whatever you want. You can change the billing cycle, change whatever you need to. You can add other users. So right now I'm the only admin here, but if you want to add other staff, you have 2 other staff accounts on the basic Shopify plan. I think you have 4 or 5 on the regular Shopify plan and even more on the premium one. But you can add other people that you can have specific roles for them and just add people that can be on your team and help you manage orders and things like that. Then we can go to payments. Of course, we talked about that earlier. We talked about shipping and delivery. Checkout, there's not a whole lot I want to do there. But taxes, location, gift cards, all of that is really pretty straightforward here. And then down here we have policy. So I talked about how you can make the pages earlier, and you can have them like as its own thing, like its own terms of use. But Shopify also integrates it in a pretty easy way where you can actually use an entire template for like your refund policy, your privacy policy. And so if you want to save a lot of time and you don't have like a great lawyer, you don't want to go through all that process, at least as a good stepping stone to get started, you could go and create a template for like a refund policy. That's what they give you right there. You can go and create a template for a privacy policy. You can do the same for terms of service. Obviously, you want to read through this because this is what you're saying is your policy. But again, just a really great way to, at the very least, get started, get some foundational groundwork there. And so I'm going to go and save that. And just like that, with the click of 3 different buttons, we now have terms of service. We've got privacy policy, and we have a refund policy. I didn't have to type anything. It saves me a ton of time, and I can go through and read this and tweak whatever I really need to make it exactly what I want. And of course, you can add these to your menu. I highly recommend you add them so they're not like hidden on your website. Keep them in your footer, probably a great way to do that. And remember, early in the video, we showed you how to add different things to your header and your footer, specifically different menus. And so this would be something that we'd want to add on a menu. So if we click on this right here, mikesgourmetcoffee.com, this is essentially what our website looks like. So after this tutorial, I really hope you guys found this helpful, and I wish you the best of luck with your own online stores. But you can see right here, we've got a really beautiful looking homepage with honestly 0 effort so far. We can go through different collections, and of course, as you add more products, it will be a little bit more fleshed out. It'll look a lot better. We've got our story down here. We can add things to cart, so we're gonna go and add this to our cart. So now that's in our cart. And if you go down to the bottom, you can see all types of things like our mission. You can see all that stuff down there. And from the top, you can go and check out other pages as well. This specific product here, you can check out other products. We can go to classic coffee. This is our other product here. And of course, it's recommending a t-shirt because so far, anyone who added this to their cart probably also added that. Granted, I'm the only one who's ever visited this website, but that's essentially going to be optimized over time in the long run. So if we click on the cart on the top right, we can actually go to checkout. And remember the 20% off if we use the code Mike. Let's go and test that out and make sure that works. And again, this is just the desktop version. You want to make sure that it looks good on mobile version, but let's add discount of Mike. We'll apply that. And just like that, it took off $3, took off 20% like we wanted. And then the buyer can actually go and do an express checkout with PayPal, Apple Pay, or Shop Pay. All of them very convenient that you have that option for people. Essentially, they can add their own information down here as well for the shipping address and things like that. So one last thing I want to point out is down here, you can see your policies are by default showing up there. I didn't add that as a menu, but by default, Shopify knows that you want to see it somewhere on your website. So adding it down here, if we go to like refund policy, it just pops up like that. Instead of being like a separate like page, it just shows up in a little window here. Super convenient. I recommend having a whole page though. And so maybe you do want to add like a separate page or a blog, structured as a blog post if you have to, it doesn't matter. And add that to the bottom so people can read that not just in checkout, but like, for example, if somebody's looking up the warranty, that would be something that I think would be more of a Google search and not something they're going to see in checkout. So making that a page, I think would make a little bit more sense. But guys, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I wish you the best of luck with your online stores. Hopefully I end up being a customer of one of your stores in the future. And if you have any questions or any comments or any preferences, please leave them down below. I want to see essentially what kind of stores you guys make. And as always, if you enjoy this video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien from Santrel Media. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.